Sometimes I just get at a loss of words because I can't even begin to imagine what living as a child right now in Ukraine is. My name is Sarah Slimp. I am a Partnership Development Manager for Voices of Children, and I'm originally from Washington, D.C., but I now live in Kyiv, Ukraine. I was a student before I moved to Ukraine, so I graduated from university, and this is now my first job out of college, which is very exciting. I came to Ukraine for the first time in 2015, just as a tourist to visit some family friends in Kyiv, and I fell in love with the city and the culture. And when I returned back home, I began studying more about Ukraine and what there is here, and ultimately came back in 2018 for a month. Got to see Chernobyl for the first time, and I toured more across the country. Ended up in Mykolaiv city, where there was a camp for children who lived in occupied Ukraine or who are from Donbass and Luhansk areas. And seeing their stories and being a 17-year-old myself, listening to what they had gone through and what they persevere through really impacted me. So when I returned in 2022 to provide some humanitarian support, I really wanted to focus on children, focus on what was happening, what was being talked about, but maybe what wasn't being talked about, bringing it back to the United States. And I decided to come back to Ukraine, move here, start my life here. And I couldn't think of doing anything else but working for children. I worked with a family in a village called Nova Buda, which is past Bucha and Irpin. And this family had gone through a lot in this village. And we discussed with them their story and their life. The grandmother's house had been destroyed from a missile in the early days of the full-scale invasion, and the daughter-in-law was a medic providing support in that way to the village. And the husband, or the son, was evacuating people in the very early days of the invasion, and he was actually targeted by a missile drone, I believe, and he was badly injured. And when we visited them, their house had still been destroyed, and we came back the next day with gloves, and we began taking away bricks, making sure that we're removing any types of metal. And one of my biggest memories from doing this was the grandmother coming out with a shovel, and she's, I think, 75 or so. And I said, you know, she shouldn't be working, like she should just relax, like we're here to help. And she was worried that we thought she was gonna be lazy. And of course we're not thinking that, but it just shows the strength of Ukrainian people. So now I work with Voices of Children, and our mission is to ensure that no child is left alone with the experience of war. We do this by providing primarily psychological and psychosocial support, whether that be individual psychological consultations, group psychological consultations, group psychosocial work as well, camps, all different types of ways that we can alleviate the trauma from children. Because on top of everything they're experiencing is in this war, they're children, and they deserve to just be free and happy and live their lives as kids like they should just be doing. There's so many different ways that someone can donate or support Ukraine, whether it's on a financial level, supporting organizations that are Ukrainian or supporting the military is obviously important and fantastic in order to build sustainable organizations and funding. In addition, I get the question a lot, what do I do if I don't have money or if I don't have funds? Learning more about Ukrainian culture, going to events, there's so many events in Washington, D.C., for example, where I'm from, for Ukrainian dance, Ukrainian culture, and just learning more and staying up to date with what's happening. Because one of my fears and growing fears of Ukraine is that the war is gonna become page 6, page 7 in the newspaper, and it's already becoming that way, and it's really unfortunate. And so not only are Russians coming and terrorizing this country, but they're trying to erase the history and erase what has happened here for so many years. Ukraine and Kyiv has existed for thousands of years at this point, and Russia is like a toxic ex-boyfriend that just keeps coming back and keeps grasping on for more and keeps sending toxic messages to the West saying, oh, we've always been Ukraine. Learning more, staying up to date, seeing what's happening in Kharkiv, seeing what's happening in cities like Dnipro and Zaporizhia that don't get as much frontline news, I guess. Just understanding and staying with us, and words of support are really important.